Greetings all, Benny from East West. This is video 7 in the Python for Finance course. We're just sitting here in our standard Python codes folder in our utilities section. Let's start a new project. So we'll bring up yet another new notebook. Now I'm just going to go ahead and fill this in. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and filled that out. So we're just going to look at selecting bits of data in the data frame, and also we're just going to quickly talk about the index as it relates to pandas. Now, I'm not going like heavily into detail about indexing, lists and tuples and stuff like that. That'll be further down the track. But I wanted to just, as in all these videos, I'm just trying to briefly brush over a few things so that when they come up, when you start doing some more intricate coding, you've got a bit of an idea of what you're looking at rather than just seeing something new for the first time. So let's just talk quickly about the index. So when you talk about indexing, if you just to put it in the context of like a spreadsheet, when you think about a spreadsheet and going down the left side, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and across the top you've got A, B, C, D, etc., etc., and that way you can locate the location of a cell because you're going for cell B6 or you're going for cell C12 or something like that. But that number set down the side, you can almost consider that to be the index. So that's how the row number, that's how we identify it. Same sort of thing here. Okay, now if we just type in df.index like this, we'll just go ahead and run that cell. Now that brings up what is the actual index for this data frame. Now Pandas will just automatically assign the first column. So right now, this whole data frame is indexed by the date. Okay, and that's why it's brought up all the dates as the index. And the other thing we can see is that the dates are bolded and the actual date is sort of set lower and away from the other column headings. So just for ease, let's reset the index and put in a list of numbers that show us what each row is numbered. So to do that, we would go df dot reset. Just let me check. I might have to. Sorry, no, df dot reset underscore index brackets. Now we want to go in place equals true. Now when you put in true, you've got to make sure it's a capital T, because if you put in true with a lowercase, see how it's not green? That means that the system's not reading it as something other than just a random word that you've put in. That means it's some sort of function, something that it recognizes. So if we just run this cell, now if we bring up our if we bring up the data frame, now you can see on the side here we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in Pandas, the first row is labeled as 0. In fact, why don't we just bring up the whole data frame here? We've got 248 rows, and you can see that it's 0 to 247. So this is important. The first row is 0. Okay, so that's what we need to understand when we're thinking about calling up specific rows. So that's what we're going to have a look at next. Now, what we can do is say, so that the next function that I'm going to show you just quickly is let's call the iloc function. Okay, now when I think of iloc or iloc, whatever you want to say, it doesn't really matter. I break it down into two things. I as in iteration. So each row can be considered an iteration. Okay, so you'll see this as we go further along. But this is just for a basic sort of idea to start getting your head around. And location. So I just sort of think iloc just basically means the location of one of the rows. So if we just want to bring up row 100, we would go df.iloc and then in square brackets 100, and then if we just run that, you can see that now it's brought up the information that is it's brought up the information that is contained within row 100. Okay, remember, so that would actually be that'd be trading day 101, because remember we're starting at 0. So that's how you would do that. Now if you only wanted to bring up, say, you say you only wanted to bring up the closing value of that day, you would just put close in here and then iLoc 100. And if you run that, that would give you the closing value on day 1 on the row of row 100. Okay, so that is how we are locating certain data in the index. Okay, so we'll just press on. I didn't want to spend too much time here, but now let's just have a look. Say we wanted a section. We wanted rows 10 to 20 of our data frame. So how would we do that? So df, we would just go square brackets. Now there's a little bit of a trick here. Well, let's just say we wanted to bring up, even though we could do df head. See, if we just wanted to say the first 10 lines, we could go df head 10, and then we could just run that, and that would just give us the first 10 rows. But what if we didn't? What if we only wanted row 5 through to 15, say? How would we do that? So if we go df, we would go, now here's the trick. If we put in just 5 and then 15, like that, if we just run that cell, we would get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we get up to 14. So it doesn't actually give us row 15. So if we wanted, it's just one of those little nuances. If we actually wanted row 15, we would have to put in 5 to 16. And if we run that, then we get up to row 15. Now, why do we need this? Well, because potentially you may want to do something like create a new data frame. So you might want to actually say something like df2, a new data frame, equals df, and then say we wanted row 100 through to row 115. Okay, we could run that, and now we've got another data frame that has just sliced out the data that we want. Okay, so we've just got this. Now from this we could also then go df2 equals reset underscore index in place equals true, and if we run that, oh, pardon me, there's no equals, it's just df2 reset index in place equals true. And then if we bring up the data frame now, you can see that even though we've got an index here, because this has been taken from this, we've got a new set of indexes here that's just sort of dropped down the side here. So without getting too far off course, because this starts to get into the little knickknacks that we don't particularly need at this stage, how would we deal with this? Well, what we would do is you can put another thing here. You can say drop equals true and in place equals true. So basically what you're saying is you want to reset the index, you want to drop this, you want to drop what was the index and replace it with this new index. So if we run that cell and then run this one, now you can see, oh, it didn't drop it, pardon me. I just had to quickly restart the program and go back through it, but you can see now that we don't have the original index, because this is a new data frame with its own index, so we can call up whatever we want with that. Okay, so that sounded that might have been a little bit off track, but it'll make sense as we go a bit further along. So that's just how we do that. Now, the other thing we can do just quickly as we finish up here is to count backwards. So what we can do is if we put in the same way, remember up here, the same way that we brought up iLoc 100. I'll just quickly run through this. df2, df2.iLoc. Now, if we wanted the first row, remember, of this, we just put in 0. Okay, and that brings up the information for that last line. But we can put in df2 .iLoc.15, actually 16, pardon me, 15. And if we just run that, that will bring up the last row. Okay, but what we can also do, and this is what you'll see done, so this is just why I'm demonstrating it. People, instead of putting in iLoc 15, people will put in df2.iLoc. Then what they'll do is put in -1. Now if we run that, that brings up exactly the same thing. Okay, so when we count backwards in the data frame, we start at -1, -2, minus. I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but I'm only going through this because you will see this done. -1, -2, -3, -4. So you can count backwards. Okay, so once again, to demonstrate, df2.iloc.14, sorry, in brackets 14, and df2.iloc -2 is actually calling the same line in the data frame. It's actually, both of those things call this line. So that's why we'll see if we want to know, the ultimate difference between, you might want to work out what was the percentage difference over the course of a week, because, and this is something else I haven't gone over. We're bringing up daily data here. You can bring up weekly, monthly, you can go down to hourly. I haven't covered that. I'm just sticking with daily data. But even though this seems a little bit sort of what the hell's going on by itself, as we go along, it'll be a bit clearer. So what I wanted to just demonstrate is how we step through and what the things you type in logically. And remember, there's always different ways to do it, but this is just one way of selecting specific data within the data frame. So just lock that one away. You'll probably come back to it because, like I said, eventually we'll write a code that's got all this stuff in it, and when you see it, you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know what's going on with that. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next one, and we'll explore some further concepts. Thanks for watching.